If green be the color of the heart, and rose be the color of love, then let me be a spring branch glistening in the rising sun. Yeah, 'cause I am love. Dooby-dooby-doo.
Versus Emotion Podcast. Organic conversations with creative minds. Hello world and welcome back to Versus Emotion. I am Laura Lemy, founder of VIM, writer and producer of this space. We are all about organic conversations with creative minds. So today I am here with somebody really special, a DC-based vocalist and songwriter with a celestial voice, impressive lyrics, incredible soul, jazz, and 90s R&B influences. I like the way she talks about her music as a reimagined kind of folk music. So here she is, Cecily. Welcome to VIM.
Thank you. Thank you. Happy to be here with you.
I'm so happy you're here. And we had a little conversation yesterday, and I told you that I was so impressed when I found you online, and I have been playing your music since then nonstop.
Thank you.
It's
I
true.
appreciate it.
I'm telling you, it's totally true. And what did I tell you? I defined you. I define you for myself, and then everybody else can decide whatever they want. But to me, you're mesmerizing. You have a mesmerizing talent. And I'm not just talking about vocal technique, which is amazing, and all of that. But I'm talking about the way you were able to play the soul chords of my heart, the way I felt embraced by your music, the way I felt, I could resonate to your lyrics, I could resonate to the music, I recognize the kind of soulful, real kind of music and notes, the ones that stay with you. So thank you for being with us.
Oh, thank you so much.
You're welcome. What I want to start with is, I know you're about to come out with your second EP or album, but you started, I think it was 2020, with Awakening Part 1. And that landed you a lot of significant recognition and awards. And we're not here to talk about awards. We don't care if we like somebody, but you actually collected quite a few. I can see 2 in the back where you're sitting now as well.
Yes, I do have them behind me. I guess they're a little blurry now because my camera is focused on my face. But yeah, I have, let's see, 1, 2, 3. I have 3 albums out.
Oh, 3, okay.
Yeah,
Wow.
1 full album that came out in 2018, and then my first EP came out in 2015, and then I released Awakening Part 1 actually in 2019. And this new album is coming out next year, early next year. That's the plan. And I have gotten some good awards. A lot of them are from my local community, which is really amazing. And I also got one that's like a national award called the Indie Soul Music Award. I got Female Vocalist of the Year in 2020. So that was really cool. And that one's really pretty as well. It's made of glass. I like it a lot.
Yes, absolutely. And also, I couldn't avoid reading a little bit more about Clumsy, which is one of my favorite songs by you. We talked about that too. And that was actually a Whammy Award, right, in 2020?
Yeah, so in my area, I live in Washington, D.C. in the U.S., and they have this award that they call the Whammy Award, which it stands for the Washington Area Music Awards.
Oh, great.
And I've gotten 3 of those now, actually. So
Wow.
Clumsy got, I think, Soul Song of the Year, which was really, really cool.
Yes, I saw that and I was really pleased. Yes. I've been playing it nonstop. So now that you are just about to come out with Awakening Part 2, what has been happening in between? And also, if you can tell us a little bit, why Awakening?
Why the name Awakening?
Yeah, why the title?
Yeah, so basically, I started reading some books about unconditional love, mainly because I was about to get married. And I really, I just wanted to learn more about love. I started to realize that most of what I had learned about love, in addition to coming from family and socialization, a lot of it came from media. Like a lot of what we understand, especially romantic love to be, comes from movies and television and music. And that might be not the most reliable source of information for what love should really be. And so I started reading all these books. The first one called The Mastery of Love by this author named Don Miguel Ruiz. And then I read this book called, oh, why am I blanking? It's called, I think it's just called Love, but it's by Thich Nhat Hanh. It's called How to Love. Thank you. He has a whole how-to
Uh-huh.
series. I read How to Love, and that was really beautiful. And then I dug deeper and I decided I wanted to read All About Love by Bell Hooks because it had been kind of on my short list of things to read for a long time. And in the process of reading these books, I realized, if I'm going to give people messages about love through my music, I want them to be things that are enlightening to them. I don't want it to be preachy, but I want it to be, enlightening in some way. And so I decided, I'm going to make an album that tells the lessons I've learned from these 3 books. And once I started to try to do that, I realized one project wasn't enough. It was going to have to be 2. And so Awakening Part 1 kind of dealt more with self-love and also romantic love. And I pulled a lot from the Thich Nhat Hanh book and the Don Miguel Ruiz book as well. And I decided that Awakening Part 2 would be all about love by Bell Hooks. And so she has a lot of different ways that she explores what unconditional love is and transformative love and what she calls a love ethic, which I think is very much needed in our psyches and in our kind of collective consciousness today. And it really just has to do with, if we decided that we were going to ground ourselves in unconditional love, then what would our society look like? What would our world look like? And how could it transform so many aspects of our existence, from our relationship with ourselves, our relationship with our romantic partners, with our families, with our children, with our environment, with Mother Nature, and also with spirit, with God. And she talks about angels, and so I decided I wanted to make an album about that. And so each song kind of touches on either 1 or 2 elements of that, of different chapters in the book. And so the first single, well, actually, it's the second single, to be fair. I put out a song in 2020 called Spirit Tell Me. That technically is the first single from the album, because that is on the album. And that kind of touches on the chapter where she talks about divine love, or, our connection to God and to spirit. And then I Am Love is technically the second single. And so it is, this song started off as a poem. It
See,
started
well,
off as a
I
poem, yeah.
knew there was something about that. I was going to get to that actually, with
Yeah.
verses coming to mind when I listen to your songs. And I
Mhm.
love what you said about the fact that you really wanted to almost scientifically study what unconditional love really is supposed to be, because there is a difference between fairy tale and
Mhm.
real unconditional love, because unconditional love
Mhm.
is actually real and very tangible. People
Mm.
think it's just something that you go and find spiritually. Yes, that's true, but it's also very tangible. And Bell Hooks says that in her book, because she talks a lot about care, affection, recognition, respect, commitment, trust. being honest with yourself first, and then that's the only way to have an open communication with somebody else. So
Right.
this is real. And
Yeah.
I love the way you actually transposed in most of your songs this kind of idealistic idea of the unconditional love that actually is really real, and should be.
Yeah.
And it's not like fairy tales in movies or rom-com or anything like that. It's about everyday life. Everyday
Mm.
life keeps you between the 3D and the 5D. Now it's about 6D, I think they say. So I really love that. And you were saying in one of these songs that started as a poem. What happened?
Mhm. So the song I Am Love started as a poem, and it was just kind of a cute little poem I wrote for myself. I said the first thing I wrote was actually, if green be the color of the heart, talking about the heart chakra, and
Yes.
if rose be the color of love, as in like a rose quartz, being attracting
Yes.
love. So if green be the color of the heart and rose be the color of love, then let me be a spring branch glistening in the rising sun, because I am love. So I wanted to just pull a lot of imagery. So I started off with just that little poem. And when I was going back through some of my ideas and, I was trying to pull concepts for the Bell Hooks project, Awakening Part 2, I realized that this poem really connected to a lot of things she said in the text. She talks specifically about the power of affirmations and how transformative they were in her own personal life. And I am love is such a powerful affirmation. And it's affirmations are a really key practice of my self-love practice and of my grounding, like daily practices. And it's something I started doing back in maybe 2013 or 2014. So it's been like 10 years now that I've really been working with affirmations. And there was a period of time where every one of my journal entries ended with I am love, I am love. I would write it over and over again, just trying to ground into that self-love practice. And so, that kind of just ended up in the poem, I am love, because it was something that I was working with all the time. And so when I heard her talk about, the power of affirmations, I really connected with that because it's had such a transformative effect on my mind and my spirit and my reality as well. And she also has this part in the book where she talks about the power of simple living. So she says, living simply makes loving simple. And I just thought that was so powerful because I think, in our modern day society, we are constantly bombarding ourselves with information and tasks and to-do lists, and we kind of almost disassociate from life a lot of the times just to make it through. And I think that concept of, and this is something that Thich Nhat Hanh and, also a concept that's really, that really comes up a lot in Buddhist practices, living simply and just being present in the simple actions you do every day. And so I kind of took that concept as well and threw that into like what ended up being the first verse of the song, where I talk about, just like the simple pleasure of eating a peach, you know, or like feeling the sun on your face in August, or just those little things that remind you like these simple pleasures of life really make life feel worth living. And so many times we think it's about the grand things or the big moments or the huge accomplishments. But if we can really kind of drill down into these tiny little simple moments and be fully present in them, then it really makes life so much more of a beautiful experience. And we're able to connect with that, how should I say it? That universal love.
Yes.
Yeah,
I'll tell
that
you what my
universal love.
favorite simple moment is when I am actually preparing focaccia with my hands. I'm kneading dough, like focaccia dough, and I'm looking at the garden outside and I am listening to music. That's my simple moment of relaxation. And then when I put it in the oven and that smell comes and everybody's happy because they can smell it and they the anticipation of eating together, and
Mm.
that's really a big simple moment for me.
Mm.
Or walking, just
Yeah.
on the seashore,
Mm.
seaside promenades. That's my other big thing. What's yours?
I'm definitely an ocean loving girl as well. So anytime I can be by the ocean and just watch the sunset or watch the sunrise is always like, just perfection. But I don't actually live near the ocean. So for me, the more everyday simple pleasures would be, I do love eating fruit. So when you get like, especially in the summertime when the fruit is really fresh, like eating I put a peach in the song, like as a reference, because that's actually my favorite fruit.
I heard that.
But, just eating peaches or eating watermelon, like summertime watermelon is just it's very satisfying. I love that. And then also I I wash my face with a like warm face towel every day. And I really love that feeling of just putting like a warm face towel on your face and just taking a deep breath. It's just so nice.
Yes, it
So
is.
yeah, those simple things.
Oh yeah, so many little moments, And
Mm,
when you're lucky enough, that you can, you're blessed when you can have them, because whatever is going on or is going around the world is not really easy at the moment. So
mm-hmm.
we should really, feel ourselves, really consider ourselves blessed that we can still have these simple moments
Yeah.
at this time. So we talked about this grounding effect of unconditional love that you also talk about really uh, deeply, in your lyrics. I really like something else I read about you when you mentioned that vulnerability is a strength
Mm,
and you celebrate that. I totally agree with you. World the world now teaches us to be either fake
mm,
or pretend to be kind and nice and all spiritual, or aggressive and winning at any cost, competitive, always looking like you've got it all together. you,
mm-hmm.
you keep it all together at all times, but actually being vulnerable is such a strong aspect of somebody's character. When
Mm.
did you find that it was that way for you too? And tell us a little bit more about how vulnerability as a strength comes through your lyrics.
I think that I've kind of always felt that way. But I think that releasing music into the world has made that even clearer for me, that vulnerability is a strength because literally by putting my stories on display in music, it's not just it's not just the lessons I'm putting into the music, it's my own personal experiences. And doing that is very vulnerable.
Totally,
I
totally with
mean,
you.
there's even one song on the album, the new album that will be out I'm planning to release it in March, early March of 2024. But there's even one song in the album when I wrote it, I said to myself, okay, I wrote that. Thank God. I needed to write that, but now it's done and I never have to look at it again. Nobody will ever hear it. And then after maybe a year away from it, I was finally like, you know what? Maybe other people do need to hear this. But it's a very, very personal thing. But I think, I've literally been told by some of my listeners. I mean, they're fans, but I think, it's deeper than that because they're not fanatics. They're just people who listen and understand and feel seen, you know. Um, I've literally been told by some of my listeners that my music has helped them get through, thoughts of suicide, helped them get through the death of a family member, helped them get through a divorce, helped them get through their PhD program, helped them get through their pregnancy, all of these things. And um, just to know, like, wow, just me being really, really honest and vulnerable about my own experiences and sharing them, hopefully from a place of, this is the emotion I felt, and I know that it's possible to move through it. I think that's the
I
most
totally
important thing.
feel, yeah, I
Yeah.
totally feel that you had no filters. I
Yeah.
can feel that. When I listen to your music, I feel that you have no filters. But, as you said, the real listeners, the ones that really truly understand and connect with you, are the ones that are vulnerable themselves and that can
Mm.
recognize that, because vulnerability recognizes vulnerability and recognizes
Mhm.
strength. So, yes, I totally agree with you. And I can feel that it comes through really clearly through your lyrics and through your music. And
Thank you.
actually, the fact that the music that you are able to produce and share is also very soothing. I told you, I felt like an embrace almost. I felt embraced by those notes, by your voice, by the music, by the whole kind of, and you have this beautiful aura, really peaceful, really calm, but very active. I can see your brain ticking very fast, but I, but I also have this feeling of total calm with you, which is rare.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that.
Wow, that's true. That's absolutely true. Um, I want to talk a little bit about what is for you the experience of performing live.
Mm.
I always ask this question because I feel like for artists in any genre, really, even if they do like spoken poetry or spoken word, or the relationship, the moment, the energy with a live audience is a totally different kind of atmosphere and situation. So, how does that happen for you?
Yeah, it's funny. I was actually about to mention that as well when we were talking about vulnerability, because one of the things when people ask me, what do you want your audience to feel when you're on stage? I want them to feel vulnerable. I want them to feel
Hmm.
like really in
Yeah,
touch with the moment. And one thing I know about performing is that, of course, the notes are important. Of course, the band being tight is important. Like, all the technical things are important. But what I always tell my voice students, because I teach voice as well, is if you feel it, the audience is going to feel it too. Right?
absolutely.
Sometimes it doesn't even matter if you hit a wrong note, if you run out of breath, you know what I'm saying? But if you're in it all the way, the audience is in it all the way. And so that's what I really love about performance, is that genuine connection that you make and that people make to you just by you being present there with them, right? Because I think we all desire as individuals to find a way to go into a flow state, right? And performing does that for me. And it's one of very few things I feel like does that for me. And so honestly, in 2020 and 2021, where I was barely performing, it was really difficult. I actually found myself kind of like mourning the experience of
Hmm.
being on
Yes.
stage and connecting with people, because it just brings me such a heightened sense of my own power and joy as well. Because I like to put a lot of joy in my music. And even though some of my songs, I have a few sad songs here and there, I perform those occasionally, but I like to perform the ones that make me feel good. So,
Well,
yeah.
as you said, if you feel it, then they'll feel it too, right? We will feel it too as an audience. So
Hmm.
um, that's being vulnerable, as you said, because that's you must feel, and all the emotions of the lyrics and the music you composed yourself. It must be linked to memories, to situations, to moments, and I'm sure that it happens to your audience as well. Maybe for
Hmm.
different reasons, it doesn't
Hmm.
have to mean the same thing to anyone. It's a different kind of experience every time, and I think
Hmm.
experience is that energy kind of exchange, the exchange of the energy between you and the audience, because it becomes a dialogue. Even if you're
Yeah.
the one performing, it becomes almost a dialogue. You see the way they respond, and it's not dialogue in words, but it's a dialogue in emotion, kind of emotional waves. So I know you're going to perform live soon on the 11th of November. Tell us a little bit more about that.
Yeah, so that's a show that I'm doing with another artist who's from Nashville, actually, named Alana Royale, who's also definitely like a soul and funk oriented artist. And she asked me if I could share the bill with her for this is her first show in DC, so I'm excited about that. I'm gonna have kind of a stripped down ensemble. It's just gonna be me, my guitarist, and my background singer. But you know what I love about that the most is in those kind of more stripped down performances, people hear the lyrics even better. And I feel like it also gives me a little bit more freedom to play around vocally because there's more space. And I really love that too. So yeah, November 11th at this venue in Washington, D.C. called the Pie Shop, which is literally above a pie shop. So you can get pie while you're there too, which is awesome.
That's always good.
So, pie, soul music, it goes together really well.
Really a comfort experience, right? Comfort food, amazing music. As I said, embracing you like the way I feel every time I listen to yours. What is happening in spring when your album comes out? Any plans?
Well, that's what I'm trying to figure out right now, actually, is all of that. But basically, I'm planning to release the album the week of my birthday. So my birthday is March 4th. So I'm going to release the album that week, that Friday, which I think is the 8th, I want to say. I have to look at the calendar. But
Yeah,
I think
me
it's the
too.
8th.
Sorry, I'm very, very bad with calendar dates. Unless I have it in front of me, I don't even know what number of day it is today. I just know it's today. I'm with you
It's
here,
today.
and I'm recording versus emotion.
Right, exactly. But yeah, so I think it's gonna come out. Not I think it's gonna come out that week, and then I'm planning a tour in April and in May of next year. So I'm in the
Amazing.
process of trying to book those dates. So if you live somewhere and you want me to come, let me know. I want to come to you too. Let me know your favorite venues. Let me know.
We want you to cross this border and come over to London and come over here.
I'm really trying to. I really am trying to. I tried to book some things in Europe last year. It was a little tricky because it was still kind of soon after, pandemic lockdowns and things. And so people are just booked up from rescheduled dates. And so it didn't come to fruition, but I'm on it for next year. It's going to happen.
It's going to happen.
It's going to happen. Yeah. And so I'm excited about that.
Today I actually had a little of a giggle when I saw your post about the different kind of names.
Oh, yeah.
I thought, she's right. She needs to clear that up because your stage name is Cecily, of course. And guys, go and check a Cecily Alexa page, and you're going to really have an amazing experience of music, comfort, embraces in notes, and also very much, kind of grounded, right? Philosophy about life and love and everything that goes around it. And I loved your post today when you said, I've got 3 different names. But what is my stage name? That was funny. I think it's Cecily Alexa, right? Your Instagram.
Yes, exactly. So my stage name is my first name. It's my name, Cecily.
Yes.
And so if you want to find my music online, that's where just look up the one word, Cecily. And then on Instagram and on TikTok, and I'm not really on Twitter anymore, but if you want to follow me anyway, you can. It's Cecily Alexa. So my first and my middle name together.
Yes, that's what I saw when I was around today, and I thought, She's done it right. She needs to clear that up.
I know. And you know what's funny is I kind of, if I could go back to when I first put music out, which was literally like 11 years ago, I would probably choose Cecily Alexa as my stage name because it would just be more distinct, because there's now at least one other artist named Cecily who's also very popular. So it gets really confusing
Oh, really?
online.
I didn't even know that.
I know she's a
Okay.
contemporary Christian artist. It's a beautiful voice. And so people are always messaging me saying, "Oh, I love this song." And I was like, "I'm sorry, that's not my song, but go tell her that." I'm sure she'd love to hear it. Maybe she gets it the other way around. I don't know.
Yeah,
But
maybe
yeah,
you
so
help each other, you know?
hopefully.
Sometimes it's just a question of meeting up in the web somehow and, you know, help each other. You know how many collaborations I started this Versus Emotion cultural, let's call it cultural movement group back in 2007. So even before social media. And we were doing like meetings, actually meetings in person to see, because you know there are over like 20,000 artists that are part of our groups on LinkedIn, on Versus Emotion, Facebook, on Instagram, and it was amazing to see that there is a huge amount of talent that actually wants to help talent. So it was a great surprise, and it was really beautiful to see, and that's what gave me the, you know, the courage and actually the vulnerability and the strength to continue, because there's a lot of me in it as well, because I write poetry as well and I do a lot of photography, so my bare soul is out there too. But I want to talk now a little bit about collaborations, because you know, I've introduced it with a little bit of my own experience. What's your experience with collaborations? I saw on your amazing curriculum that you have worked with great artists, and you're also featured vocalist on some projects, jazz projects with Jose James. And, you know, tell us a little bit about that, and how, when do you really find that it is a true collaboration?
Well, you know, my whole creative process is fundamentally based on collaboration. I can play keyboard like a tiny bit, but not enough to really express myself the way that I would want to. And so all of my songs are co-written with someone else, typically. Like I Am Love, for instance, was co-written with a friend of mine who's originally from Vermont, but who I met when he lived in Richmond, Virginia. He's now in LA. I miss him. He's all the way on the West Coast, but Jacob Ungerleider is his name. One of my very, very, very favorite pianists that I've ever worked with. And, you know, I came to him and I said, "Hey, I have a little poem I wrote and it has a little melody. Here's how it goes." And that's how I Am Love came about. You know, he started playing some things and I was like, "Oh, I like that. Oh, I like that too." And we started building it. So, you know, it's a very, we're talking about vulnerability. Collaboration is a very vulnerable experience, especially when you're creating something new. And so it's taken me time to just build up the courage to start to work with new people, to just reach out and be like, "Hey, do you want to try to write together?" Because you never know what's going to you never know, you know, how it's going to come together. But it's such a central part of my experience as an artist, is the collaborative part of it. And I want to give a shout out to a good friend of mine named Drew Kidd, who I also co-wrote Clumsy, who everybody loves that song,
favorite.
right? Yes. But he, you know,
Well,
I was writing
my
this.
favorite so far, because your
Okay.
album, your new album is not out yet, and I Am
True.
Love is amazing. No, you were just telling us about the collaboration with Drew, and how, you know, you really wanted to collaborate with someone that could help you to make this new album cohesive, right? Because it needs to be a cohesive experience for the listeners. And so shout out to Drew. I'm sure you did an amazing job together. I Am Love is a testimonial of that already. So
Thank you.
I'm really looking forward to it. And I just wanted to ask you, do you have like something in particular that I didn't ask you and you would have loved me to ask you about? Your music or your new projects?
I don't think so. I think I kind of like touched on the important things, kind of the philosophy behind the songs and the collaborators, and yeah, I think we touched on the crucial elements.
Yes, I think we did, and you know, I cannot believe that we almost had an hour. No, we had an hour conversation, and it's incredible that it felt like 5 minutes to me. Um, you see, when actually the conversation flows so so easy, that's a very good sign, isn't it?
Definitely, yeah.
It's not easy to have this kind of flowy, kind of good conversations all the time. So where can we find you online? We said at Cecily Alexa, that's on Instagram and all the other social media channels. Do you have a website you want to tell us about?
I do have a website. I'm currently in the process of updating my website, but you can hop on there.
Oh, cool.
It's cecilymusic.com. Very simple.
Okay.
And let's see, is there anything else? I'm primarily on Instagram and TikTok, and so those are the places you can find me online.
How did you find TikTok?
How do I find it? It's okay.
Yeah?
It's a different experience. You know what I like about it is that you're always being introduced to new people.
That's so true.
It's not really dependent upon just
Uh-huh.
followers. You're constantly kind of meeting new people. And I like that about TikTok. I still haven't found a way, I feel like, to really be myself as much on TikTok. And I think that's just because I don't know how to use it very well. So it's not really, it's my fault. It's not TikTok's fault.
No, it's not about the platform. And it's about, I don't know, I feel a little bit confused on TikTok sometimes. Basically, maybe because I'm old, I don't know. But I just see a lot of, teenagers around my house and people that I know that actually feel really comfortable there. It gets me a little bit off. Like I got a little bit confused about it. It's almost like I would like to see a chaotic structure of the organization of the posts in a way. I say chaotic structure because it's another podcast that we actually have here at Versus Emotion for writers and particularly authors, writers, and poets. We launched the first episode. Yeah, we launched the first episode last week.
Awesome.
Yeah. So, but Cecily, I am telling you now that I believe the next year sometime you're gonna call me and tell me that you're coming to London.
Definitely. I want that to happen. I'm working with a radio promoter in London so I can try to build some more, brand recognition and buzz in the UK, because I definitely want to. I want to come.
I'm waiting for that phone call from Cecily telling me, "Oh, Laura, I'm coming to London." I'll be there first row for sure. I'll be in my huge mantle of vulnerability in front of you, singing all your songs.
I can't wait.
Same here. Can't wait. Thank you so much. It was such an amazing soul promenade with you, and I wish you all the best. You know how much I appreciate you and your talent. You know how grateful I am that you decided to grace us with your presence here at Versus Emotion. So thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Laura. I appreciate your time and for having me. Definitely.
See you soon. We'll do a part 2, and then when you're here live, we'll do a live one.
Oh, that would be beautiful. I can't wait.
Okay, great. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.
Bye. Versus Emotion Podcast. Organic conversations with creative minds.